That's fine. Welcome to the National Institutes of Health Informational webinar. The Clinical Center Hospital and Rehabilitation Medicine Department, along with the Recreational Therapy section, welcome you to learn more today about our currently open recreational therapists. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Kyle Harvig, and I will be today's moderator for this webinar. The National Institutes of Health, a part of the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, is the nation's medical research agency, making important discoveries that improve health and save lives. The Clinical Center, America's Research Hospital, is located on the NIH campus in Bethesda, Maryland. Through clinical research, clinical investigators translate laboratory discoveries into better treatments, therapies, and interventions to improve the nation's health. Today you will hear from Donna Gregory, the Chief of the Recreational Therapy section at the Clinical Center, who will share information about an exciting career opportunity as part of her team. Following Ms. Gregory, I will explain how to navigate the federal application system, referred to as USA Jobs, and finally, Loretta Platter, Human Resource Specialist, will provide an overview of this specific vacancy announcement. Time will be provided for your questions at the end. Let's take a moment to review webinar mechanics. Take a look at the top right-hand section of your screen. You have a navigation panel. If this panel disappears at any time during this webinar, click on the arrow to allow view of the control panel. Inside said control panel, you will see buttons to minimize the screen and audio information. If you are having audio feedback, we highly suggest you mute your computer microphone and/or cell phone or other device, and use the call-in number provided. You may ask questions at any time during this webinar. Let us begin. Please welcome Donna Gregory, Chief of Recreational Therapy at the NIH Clinical Center. Donna received her Bachelor of Science degree in Recreation Therapy from the University of Maryland and a Master's degree in Business Administration from Penn State University. She has experience as an adjunct professor at Temple University, teaching healthcare administration. Donna has 20 years of experience working in physical medicine and rehabilitation. She has managed interdisciplinary treatment teams and has clinical experience working with adults and adolescents who have sustained traumatic brain injuries. Her interests include program development, process improvement, and providing quality recreational therapy services to a variety of patient populations. Donna has also contributed to a recently published book titled Recreation Therapy for Specific Diagnosis and Conditions. Ms. Gregory is an employer representative board member for the National Council for Therapeutic Recreation Certification and has worked at NIH for 8 years. Donna also presented at last week's annual ATRA conference in New Mexico on traumatic brain injury research and the role of recreation therapy. Moreover, Donna truly loves the opportunity to manage a large recreational therapy section of talented, dedicated therapists providing clinical care to patients and participates in clinical research. I'm Kyle Harvig, as I said before, and I'm going to turn it over to Donna.
Thank you, Kyle. Welcome, everybody. I am excited to be able to share with you a lot of information in a short window of time. So I'm kind of glad this is a webinar, so my colleague Kyle can kind of let me know if I get a little too excited about NIH and all the fun things we do here. Wanted to show you the campus of NIH. A lot of folks who have never seen the campus, or seen the campus for the first time, describe it as kind of a college campus feel. The Clinical Center is the first building that you see in that photograph, and I'm going to spend a little bit of time talking about the Clinical Research Center, which is where all of the patient care takes place. The Clinical Center is frequently called the House of Hope. We do basic, translational, and clinical research. We are probably most recently known for supporting the Ebola crisis. Folks have seen on the national news the support we provided. We are one of the 4 unique hospitals that has isolation facility, and we are the first to launch the first in the world human clinical trials of 2 promising Ebola vaccines. The clinical center itself has its inpatient units, day hospitals, and research labs. It's an 870,000 square foot building and has 240 inpatient beds and 82 day hospital stations. So the clinical center in NIH is part of the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. It's considered America's research hospital. The clinical center itself is kind of like 3 hospitals in one. We support patients who have, adult patients with medical and rare diseases. Our largest institute is a cancer institute. We're doing a lot of phase 1 trials, biomedical research phase 1 trials for medications to improve the health outcome for folks with rare diseases and cancer. We also have a behavioral health inpatient units and pediatrics. So I want to spend a little bit of time on this slide. I think a lot of folks working in healthcare will recognize the column on the left. The clinical center, we provide patient-centered care. This is similar to most hospitals in the country. We have a training and academic environment. We are cost conscious. All the staff that work here are credentialed that provide patient care. We recently had our Joint Commission accreditation renewed, one of the highest ratings in the country. And the domains that recreation therapy provides here are cognitive, physical, psychosocial, emotional, leisure education, and treatment focused. Again, with the national trend, we provide 6 days a week of therapy. I want to spend a little bit of time talking about what's unique about the clinical center. Patients at the clinical center consent to participate in research studies and are treated without charge. Admission is selective. Only those patients who have a medical condition being studied by NIH and who meet the specific inclusion criteria can enroll in the studies. There are currently about 1,500 clinical research studies underway at the clinical center, including those focused on cancer, infectious diseases, blood disorder, heart disease, lung disease, alcoholism, and drug abuse. Also wanted to highlight one of the unique things about NIH is because patients are here for research, their length of stay tends to be longer than the private sector. The recreation therapy is part of the rehabilitation medicine department. In addition to the traditional rehab model, which you see on the right, the rehab medicine department also has a research arm, although RT's recreation therapy's role is primarily clinical, and we work closely with PT, OT, speech, and physiatry. As part of the rehab medicine department, we have just recently finished our strategic planning process. And out of that, my boss likes to call this the C2P2 plan. Our strategic plan includes collaboration. We look at functional outcomes, cultivation. We have a strong, productive workforce. We collaborate and cultivate, making sure that staff are happy with what we do. We provide excellent patient care. It's safe and effective and evidence-based. And then the promotion pie is really looking at being recognized nationally for providing quality patient care and curing a lot of rare diseases and looking at being recognized even as a rehab medicine department within the research hospital. So one of the other unique things about us at NIH is we have a large recreation therapy department section and 16 therapists. You can see the breakdown there. A lot of the therapists that have worked here for a long time. It's a really exciting environment to work in. A lot of our patients are international and have a lot of cultural diversity, along with the unique patient diagnoses, and length of stay gives us the opportunity to develop a rapport and provide good outcomes. So at the Clinical Center, we really focus on assessment, treatment planning using the API process, collaboration with interdisciplinary teams, looking for folks that can help support evidence-based practice, community integration, and discharge planning. Another unique thing at NIH is because we're a teaching hospital, there's extensive internal and external learning opportunities. We have a really strong internship program where we have affiliation agreements with a lot of the top recreation therapy schools in the country. And then because it's a research hospital, although rec therapy is primarily patient clinical focused, we have the opportunity to support IRB-approved research initiatives. So kind of to summarize, the NIH Clinical Center is 3 hospitals in one. We have the opportunity to work with patients on the pediatric unit, the behavioral health unit, and the adult medical unit. Because it's a teaching hospital, we have a lot of opportunities to learn from our colleagues and attend grand rounds, an extremely large recreation therapy section where we can learn from each other, and the geographically and ethnically diverse patient population creates a lot of learning opportunities as well. And we are not, because we are not driven by insurance reimbursement, we have the opportunity to work really closely with families. We have a family-centered care approach. We work with siblings and children of adult patients, as well as caregivers. I tried to get a lot of information in a few slides so we can keep the ball rolling, and you can, now that everyone really wants to work here, I'm going to pass the baton to Loretta from Human Resources, who's going to tell you the process to apply.
So, as I stated before, my name is Kyle Hartwig. I'm here to talk to you today about creating your account in USA Jobs. First of all, Donna, that was amazing. Thank you for the in-depth explanation, particularly the breakdown of the team. I think that's exciting that you have such a large team working here at the NIH. So let's jump right in and talk about what you need to do to prepare for the application. Let's get started. So here, the slide you're looking at, you need to create an account on USA Jobs. This is the Federal Employment Application Center. You need to submit a federal resume. What we mean by a federal resume is that they're a little bit lengthier. It's a little bit different than your typical application. And that's okay, because at the end of these slides and throughout, we're going to give you a lot of resources so that you can best prepare yourself for this opportunity. You'll need to upload and submit your documents. Loretta is going to talk to us a little bit about that in the coming slides, but it's really helpful if you can upload your transcript, your resume, any certifications if you think you need to add those in. And then let's go right to the next slide. So go to www.usajobs.gov. You can create your own username and password. And then you'll notice here at the end of the slide there's a USA Jobs Resource Center. If you're new to federal applications and have any questions, that's another resource for you. So really quickly, this is how you create an account. Just click Create a New Account. And then this is inside the federal government's resume application portal here. You'll see on the left side of the screen that you are able to upload resumes. You can also notice here on the bottom of the screen a section that says Application Status. After you submit your application, it does take us time to review each and every application, which we do with due diligence. You can also refer back to your application status here at this point in the process. So you have a few choices. You can upload a resume that you created in Microsoft Word or any other application, or you can click Build New Resume, And what that means is that you can actually use the federal government's resume builder. It's great. You can take your resume that you currently have, copy and paste it into this resume builder. If there's any fields that you see that you need to fill in, you can do so at that time. It makes it a lot simpler, and it makes it a lot easier for the human resource specialist to review your application, and it makes certain that you have put forth all the information you need to move forward in the process. So I do suggest that if you want to take some time to do it. Here is where you'll notice where you're able to pre-upload documents. You can pre-upload these documents even before submitting your application. I don't suggest trying to upload documents 5 minutes before the application closes. It closes at 11:59. There is some time needed for the system to do a virus scan. Please make sure to get those documents uploaded early. This announcement is open for 10 days. You don't have to apply right away. You can take your time with your application. But I definitely suggest not trying to do it in the last 5 minutes because it does take some time. This is the NIH's career page. The reason we bring it up is that you'll notice under a section that says how to apply, you'll see some information there like online tutorials about resumes and some federal resume tips if you want to explore those. Okay. So at this time, I'm going to hand it over to Moretta Placer. Moretta has been with the NIH's staff member since 2014. She has over 7 years of experience in human resources, and she is a U.S. Air Force military veteran. Moretta?
Thank you, Kyle. Again, my name is Moretta Plater, and I am the Servicing HR Specialist for this vacancy announcement. I hope to take a few minutes to explain some of the specifics for applying to this career opportunity. To begin your search, you may type in the Recreation Therapist vacancy number in the keyword search field. The VIN number is NIH-CC-DE-16-150-8676. Once the vacancy populates, you will notice the open period date. The position will close at 11:59 p.m. on Friday, October 16th. We strongly recommend that all of your documents be submitted by this time in order to be considered for this position. You must turn in your resume and your transcript or course listing. Please refrain from submitting CVs, and I encourage you to submit detailed resumes that align with the functions of the position. If you are unable to submit your transcripts, you will need to produce your official transcript upon receiving a tentative offer if selected. Schedule A disabled candidates or military veterans must submit supporting documents prior to the posting date of the vacancy. However, there is a late application exception for veterans that are 30% or more disabled. It is important that you read the announcement carefully to learn about what the NIH Clinical Center and the Recreation Therapy Department has to offer, and also to understand what is required for the position. You will also notice a How to Apply tab in the top right of the announcement. If you click on that tab, you will be able to view the the assessment questions before submitting your application. This feature allows you the opportunity to explore further the nature of the position and determine how your experience aligns with some of the functions of the position. The most important part of the vacancy is the Qualifications and Evaluations tab. This tab outlines what is needed to be considered for the position. There is a education requirement, and you must have a degree in recreational therapy or in a creative arts therapy field in art therapy, dance therapy, music therapy, or psychodrama. You can also have a major in an appropriate subject matter field with therapeutic emphasis or concentration. To qualify for this position, you must meet the education requirement and the specialized experience, where you may substitute the specialized experience with 3 years of progressively higher level graduate education, leading to a PhD degree, PhD, or equivalent doctoral degree in a related field that is directly related to the duties of the position. Lastly, you may also qualify if you have a combination of related education and specialized experience that meets 100% of the qualification requirements for this position. In reference to the specialized experience, your resume must reflect 1 year of qualifying experience equivalent to at least the GS-9 level in the federal government. The Qualifications and Evaluations tab lists examples of the specialized experience. Please ensure that your resume aligns with the functions of the position. You are now looking at the assessment questions. The first two questions focus on your credentials and experience. Your responses to these questions are subject to verification by the HR specialist. Your resume will be evaluated to determine if you are amongst the best qualified for this position. The second question specifically asks if you qualify because you have 1 year of specialized experience performing the following types of tasks, which is performing individual recreation therapy, clinical assessments of a patient's abilities related to cognitive, physical, social, emotional, educational, and behavioral domains. Planning and providing recreation therapy to patients in accordance with the Assess, Plan, Implement, and Evaluate process, which is known as API. Evaluating patients' progress with recreation therapy, collaborating with other therapists to identify alternative treatment options, providing counseling to and education for patients and their families, and providing individual and group treatment. Lastly, these assessment questions will ask you to rate yourself on a number of tasks. Your level of expertise can be justified in your resume. Answer honestly but not modestly. Good luck with your application, and my contact information is on the announcement if you have any further questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Maretta. That was fabulous. Thank you for the insight into how to apply to this position. And I really want to highlight that aligning, ensuring that your resume aligns with the qualifications of the position is a really key thing. Thank you, Maretta, for that insight. So this is just a quick visual. This is how you would apply online. You'll be directed to a different site. We don't want it to confuse you. Continue with the application instructions, including the Accept and Proceed button here. And just to wrap up a few tips, make sure that you obtain a copy of the vacancy. Read it fully. There's a lot of information there that will really help you in your application. Honestly, evaluate your experience against the vacancy announcement. Take special note of the closing date, and rewrite and edit your currently existing resume to address individual vacancy announcement specifications, including the specialized experience section, which Maretta went into such detail. Thank you, Maretta. Step 5, be sure that your core competencies are addressed in your resume and in your answers to the questions. Of course, proofread your application. And 7, attach all requested documents, including your transcripts. If you can't do the transcript, of course, listing will work. You don't have to get your official transcript at this time, only if you were made a tentative job offer. 8, organize your application package and submit before the closing date. And number 9, keep a copy of your completed application if you want to for your own record. Just a few resources. This is the direct link to the announcement in USA Jobs. This is the NIH career page. And then also we have highlighted here, thirdly on this slide, a federal resume writing video if you're interested in learning more about that. At this time, we'd like to take a few questions. The first question that we have, Donna, I'm hoping you might have a little bit of insight into this. Somebody asked, I currently work at a hospital as a recreational therapist, but I'm curious, what is it like here at NIH? Is it different, and how does that pertain to me and my daily job?
It's a great question. I have worked at 2 other facilities, rehabilitation medicine hospitals, and the clinical center is different in a lot of ways and the same in some ways. There's no typical day. Those of us that work in patient care recognize that you may come to work with a set schedule that you think is what you're going to do for that day. And the first patient you go to see is being sent to an MRI because they had cognitive changes overnight. So the best laid plans are typically not what we follow in a hospital setting. So that's probably where it's a little bit similar. One thing that's different and unique is that the patient length of stay is longer than a typical hospital. So what I really love about it is you get to spend more time with the patient because, again, we're not dealing with insurance-driven timelines, and get to know and develop a rapport with the patient and get to focus on outcome functional treatment goals, as well as in this environment, because the patients that are here for research and experimental treatment. A lot of them have exhausted traditional standard of care, and they're here because nothing else has worked. So we have the opportunity to work on a coping and stress management and kind of dealing with all of the stressors that go along with having a chronic or acute illness and helping to adapt to a long hospital stay.
Thank you, Donna. That was a wonderful answer. I appreciate the detail. Loretta, we do have a question for you involving transcripts. Could you just go over very clearly and succinctly, what do they need to do with transcripts again?
You may submit an unofficial transcript for your course listings, and if you get a tentative offer, we will need the official transcript sent to us unsealed from the university.
So if I were an applicant, I would go and get my transcripts somewhere. I might have them in my closet or my garage or somewhere in my computer, and I would then scan them into the system as like a PDF or a Word document of some sort. And if I just can't find them anywhere, I might have the opportunity to have a course listing that should be as official as possible, right? Okay.
And we recommend that the documents be sanitized for any personable, identifiable information like socials, birthdays, addresses.
Okay. There was one more question, and I think this might help clarify a comment I made earlier. Somebody asked, do I need to attach my CTRS certification?
It can be.
So for this question, no, you do not have to attach your CTRS certification. But you're welcome to if you would like to. Is that what you're thinking?
Yes.
Okay. Do you have anything you want to expand on that?
CTRS certification is an ideal certification that the managers would like to see, but it's not a requirement for this vacancy. Okay.
We want to thank everybody for attending today's webinar. I hope you have gained some insight into not only the recreational therapy at the NIH, but also the NIH at large. And additionally, I hope that you were able to gather some information as to how to submit an application for this position. We hope you're still interested. Again, the position is open until October 16th, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much for joining. Our contact information is here on this slide.